Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the recently updated nationally determined contribution pledge that India has made to fight climate change and what are the updates that India has done as compared to its 2015 same pledge. We are also going to discuss briefly about that what is Paris Agreement and what are the important provisions of Paris Agreement and also slightly about United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So first of all, the context which we are discussing today's issue is India has formally updated its nationally determined contribution to United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change. The last declaration that was made was on October 2nd, 2015 and also the NDC was approved by the Union Cabinet. The present NDC, the recent NDC that has been updated has been approved by Union Cabinet in the last month. The updated NDC is believed as a statement given by the current Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change that it will be a step toward India's goal to reach net zero emission by 2070. That is what the government has said in its press release. So in this context, let us try to understand what was the earlier pledge and what has been the major changes that is made in the NDC pledge. So let us first try to understand what is Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement basically is a only legally binding international climate treaty that came into existence after its approval in Conference of Parties, 22nd Conference of Parties meeting that was held in Paris in year 2015. Finally, 196 member countries basically approved this particular summit, and this Paris summit finally entered into force on 4th of November 2016. The main objective with which Paris Agreement has been signed is basically to fight the menace of global warming. And in this context, the Paris Agreement tries to or want to limit global warming by keeping average global temperature well below 2 degrees Celsius and even if it's possible, preferably to below 1.5 degrees Celsius if you compare this with the pre-industrial level. So that is the most important limiting factor that Paris Agreement tries to achieve as far as the climate change is concerned. So what is basically a nationally determined contribution? So as per the provisions of Paris Agreement, COP21 summit, these are the plans, the NDCs are the plans that are submitted by countries who want to work towards their particular climate goals. And as per this COP21 summit, Paris Agreement, all the member countries are basically required to prepare, communicate and maintain the NDCs it intends to achieve. The NDCs are submitted to the Secretariat of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change (UNFCCC) every 5 years. So India has submitted last, we can say in 2015, the last NDC was submitted, and now in 2022, obviously there was delay because of COVID pandemic and all those things. India has submitted its next NDC. So what are the updates or what are the changes that India has made in its NDC pledge? So first change that has been made is with regards to emission intensity. The older pledge was that India will try to reduce the emission intensity of the GDP by 30 to 35% by the year 2030 as compared to whatever its level was in year 2005. Now this has been updated, and as per the new pledge, India has increased to reduce the emission intensity not only 30 to 35% but even to 45% by 2030. Now level will be same as compared to 2005 level. So this is the first important changes. Now obviously the question comes that what are emission intensity? So in climatic term, emission intensity is simply defined as the total amount of emissions that is emitted by any particular nation for every unit of GDP that this particular nation creates. Now coming to the second important changes that has been made with regards to the non-fossil fuel based energy in the overall energy basket of a particular country. So in this regard, India's old pledge was that India has said that it will try to achieve, that is about 40% of its cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy sources. Non-fossil fuel based energy sources, the major of them are solar energy, wind energy, small hydropower, geothermal energy, tidal energy. These are some examples of non-fossil fuel based. Now this has been updated as per the current NDC, and now the new pledge that India has committed to is says that rather than achieving 40%, now India will try to achieve 50% of its cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy sources. And to achieve such objective, India has said that it will try to take help from the low cost international finance that is involved, basically from institutions such as Green Climate Fund as well as the Global Environmental Fund. The third changes that has been made with regard to the updated NDC is the concept of sustainable living has been introduced. And in this regard, India says that it will try to promote a sense or promote a development of sustainable living among its population, which will be based on traditions, conservation, and moderation to combat the climate change. And in this regard, India has initiated a movement that is called as Life Movement, the mass movement for life, where life stands for lifestyle for environment. So basically, as per Niti Aayog's definition, life is nothing but it is a public movement to encourage people to become pro-planet, to introduce such habits in their daily life, even smaller habits that can contribute to fighting the menace of global warming, climate change, and can make living much more sustainable in nature. Now, sustainable living is something that keeps coming in the news every now and then. In simple terms, sustainable living can be defined as the lifestyle or the way of living in such a manner that it does not compromise the needs or future generation that will come after us. That means we cannot become so greedy, we cannot become so self-centered that we basically sacrifice the needs and wants of future generation in the world. Apart from that, there are some other major updates. So if you look at these highlights, first of all, India has said that it will adopt a climate friendly and cleaner path for economic development as well. Second, it also has promised to create an additional carbon sink by the method of afforestation or by focusing on afforestation. Third, it will focus on the adaptation practices by enhancing investment in development programs, specifically for the vulnerable sectors. Now we will talk about the climate change and the fight against climate change. There are two terms that keeps come every now and then. One is adaptation and the second is mitigation. So adaptation measures are such kind of measures which a government has to take due to the already effect of climate change that is being witnessed in its territory. For example, if already floods are occurring at frequent interval, government whatever step government will take, it will come under the adaptation measures. On the other hand, the second measure are called as mitigation measures. Mitigation measures are such measures which are taken before the effect of climate change can be felt in any particular sector, in any particular geographical location. So, for tackling mitigation measures, government has said that it will try to mobilize funds from the developed countries and will also focus more on research and development in the climate change sector by, for example, focusing more upon making renewable energy sources or renewable power generation much more cost effective as compared to the traditional method of power generation. So these are some of the other major highlights that India has put into its nationally determined contribution. As far as the past performance of India with regards to its fulfillment of its NDC or its pledges, climate pledges are concerned, India is believed to be the only G20 country, as said by the former chief executive of Niti Aayog, that India is the only G20 country that is on track to achieve its climate goals under the Paris Agreement of 2015. And also we can see the example of this or evidence of this by looking at the fact that in year 2019 and in year 2022, India ranked among the top 10 countries in the climate change performance index, especially it is ranked very, very higher in the global greenhouse gas emission and all these kind of things. So obviously what we can say is that India is on the right track, and with its updation of NDCs, India can quickly fulfill its climate goals that it has signed, it has placed under the Paris Agreement. And that will be good not only for India but also for the whole earth, because you know that whole earth is a single system, and the climate change that is happening or the effect of climate change that is occurring in one area obviously is going to affect the other regions of the world as well. That is all for today. Thank you very much.